have unknowingly infected many of his patients with COVID-19 after treating another patient who eventually died from the virus.
I touched patients, I treated patients because I sanitized, but I talked to patients, I examined patients, I did war rounds, and only God knows if and how many patients I might have unknowingly infected.
Also in the bulletin,
we are fighting the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and that is the Electoral Commission, government, and the state security, all deployed against us.
Electoral Commission denies accusations of bias by opposition NDC, which says it has been treated unfairly in ongoing voter registration exercise.
We have not received any complaint that somebody was not registered voter. If anybody comes to the center and the person is presumed not qualified, you go to the challenge process.
And in business, President Akufo-Addo chairs virtual cabinet meeting with some key considerations, including the mid-year budget review and COVID-19 recovery program.
You want to stay with us for that and more. Plus,
I always say, if the doors are not opening, go get your hammer, get your nails, and knock your own door, create your own door, open it and enter.
You want to stay with us for that, as rising Afro pop star and warrior princess Viala is featured on Spotlight later on the show. My name is Evans Mentor. Well, tonight we're hearing from the Health Minister, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, who is attributing the spread of COVID-19 in senior high schools across the country to congestion. He says the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana Health Service have been collaborating to solve the challenge. It comes as more schools record cases of the coronavirus. It's Accra Girls SHS, for example. At least 55 students of the school have tested positive. Journalist Maxwell Ababa reports there was heavy police presence there today on the campus, and parents who marched up there earlier today are divided on their next line of action. The parents were upset and pretty torn when officers did not allow them to have access to their wards in the school.
We are here in front of the Accra Girls Senior High School, told that the persons who have tested positive have been transferred to isolation and treatment centers in the country. We also told that there's a quarantine and isolation center here at the Accra Girls Senior High School. According to a statement released by the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service, they've taken measures to contain the situation here. The school authorities will not speak to us. They would also not allow us to get access to the school campus itself. Some parents have been showing up here. I've seen about 10 of them who've come here this morning to check on their children.
Why is it that if the schools are having a problem, why wouldn't they close it down? What can I do? What can I do? We have been talking. The PTA, everybody is saying it, but they still don't want to release their children. I'm worried because I have only one daughter. They should release my daughter for me. That's all.
She's your only daughter?
Yes.
But don't you think she's safer on campus rather?
They should test them and release them. If you test them and they are negative, release them. They should do that. They should test them and release those who are negative, and then see to those who are positive. That's all we are asking for.
So that's a case there at the Accra Girls. In the Oti region, a junior high school has become the first to record a case of coronavirus. Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedusa Kodia, who disclosed this, is optimistic the development can be managed to ensure it does not spread. He was addressing a media today.
The point is that you cannot continue to test everybody every day. So, as much as possible, it is not of best interest of the country and individuals potential to provide you false sense of security, thinking that you are negative and that you can do anything. And we think that intensive surveillance, promoting people to adhere to the various safety precautionary measures, and then watching very closely so that early detection testing, isolation, and management. These are the principles and interventions and strategies as a country that we have put in place, and they've been very helpful and worked for us to this large extent. No case in junior high school. What is the magic? The list was with the junior high school, the only reported JHS that have with a case in, I think, OT region. Just one. And if you should say why, I will say that they are probably adhering to the safety protocol more than the others.
Okay.
Well, why this? We need to social study to come up to the answers to this. And
I want to take you to the OT region now. Let's bring in our Peter Senu, who is correspondent there for us. Peter, this junior high school that we're learning had probably become the first junior high school to record a case. You've been working to try and establish more about it. What else do we know?
Well, Evans, as we speak, very little information as to the location in terms of district and district, and then the name of the school. I have been trying to get information from the Regional Health Directorate, 0, Regional Education, 0, and at least I've called political and educational health heads in about 4 districts so far. They have not confirmed. All they tell me is that they don't know, and then it is not in their district, Evans.
Okay, but I wonder, since this came out, what has been the general reaction there?
Well, interacting with residents and then some students in the region, well, we are all apprehensive, let me see, as to the exact school and then the name, because right now we don't know where the school is, and so that people can take extra precautionary measures to protect themselves, we do not know. And so it is an open guess for everyone to guess as to where the school is, where it is located. We do not know, Evans.
Peter, thank you very much. Well, as you may well know, parents, the associations, the teacher unions, even the medical professionals have been putting pressure on government to consider closing the schools because of the spread of COVID-19. Well, we're hearing from the health minister today, Kweku Agyeman-Manu. He describes the calls as defeatist and cowardly, adding government would rather fight the pandemic to save lives.
Why is nobody asking us to close down the universities? Junior high school started 2 weeks now. They go home and come to school. Why are we not closing those ones? The senior high schools, I must say there are problems in some areas, but the percentage of where we have challenges wouldn't call for us to close down the schools. We have been saying over and over and over again that we must learn to live with the disease. So the problem is not going back home. That was what we have done. That means that we close down schools for how long? Nobody knows when this is going to go away. So we won't run senior high schools in this country any longer. So we have to confront the challenge. What we are hearing after investigation is that some of the schools that are getting infections are a bit congested. And we are looking at alternatives as to whether we can decongest the schools, send some of the schools to some other schools that have space, and things like that. This is being done together with the Ghana Education Service and Ghana Health Service. So we find solutions to the challenges. That is how men should work. When you are confronted with problems, you don't go back and say, I have withdrawn. You fight the diseases in the pandemic. Look at elsewhere. Big countries like America and France. Look at their numbers. But they are still reopening. They are opening schools. They are doing everything that they should do. Because the whole challenge is that we can't allow ourselves to be kept indoors forever by the disease. Who knows when this disease is going to go away from the world? We haven't got a vaccine yet. So what can we do? So closing down schools is defeatist. It's a coward person's approach. And that is not what we are going to do. We will fight the disease. We will do things that will solve some of the challenges that we have and protect everybody, ourselves and our children.
Well, that is the health minister there. I want to stay in the Ashanti region. He was in the Ashanti region taking questions from the journalist there. You recall the story of the boy who unfortunately died at the KNUST Senior High School, and accusations have been leveled against the teachers and the authorities there. In fact, the headmistress had been interdicted. They had allegedly failed to attend to the child on time because they feared that the child was in health distress, maybe suffering from COVID-19, and so they did not take care of the child until it got pretty worse. The father took the child to the hospital and later died. There's investigations that have started already into this. We'll go to back to the Ashanti region for an update on that probe. However, my colleague Erastus Donko has been to speak to the mother of a boy who died. He filed this report.
17-year-old business student Sam Leonard Richards died after a video shows he was left in the care of his colleagues for 3 hours after complaining of severe stomach pains. From this house in the heart of Kokobin New Site, Kumasi, he had been commuting to and from school as a day student for 3 years. His mother, Madame Comfort Bedu, tells me she allowed him to go to the boarding house because of the assurance by government and school authorities he would be protected.
As my parents no, mo biya in school ho. Sana na adwa kanu. Me say obakra yare ambulance and a nurses ni ade wo ho.
We were told that the president has directed that all parents should stay away from the school. They said ambulance and nursing services will be provided for sick students. So we placed our trust in the teachers. I even followed up to the senior housemaster's house, and he further assured me my son was in safe hands. In a video that has gone viral, her son is seen writhing in pain with students providing solace while teachers look on supposedly for fear of COVID-19. Sam died after his dad picked him up for hospital 3 hours later. After the father raced through traffic with a taxi to get to the school, my son was on the ground surrounded by the students. He was weak when he was put into the vehicle. A visibly sad and angry mother describes her last moments with her son. I ran through the streets and alleys of Dr. Mensah in the dark, falling and rising to my feet. He was so weak when I finally met him at the hospital. He told me, "Mama, you came too late." I said, "Nana, they didn't call me early enough. If they knew, they couldn't help my son. They should have told me." Madame Beidou had questions for the teachers in whose care she had put her son. Why did they just stand there and watch my son? Why didn't they do anything? Tech Hospital is just around the corner. Why didn't they even call an ambulance? The family seeks justice and relief from government. We plead with government. Whether justice or relief is in government's hands. We are watching government. Sam's father, Sam Richards Sr., and his wife say they are awaiting a visit from officials of the Ghana Education Service and some family members to decide on burial arrangements.
But until we meet them, we can't. The committee and those up there should come. The school authorities should come, so we can sit down and let our intentions be known to them.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Erastus joins me live now. And Erastus, today you've been monitoring that committee's work. They started sitting today, hearing from some of the accused teachers. What more do we know?
Yes, the 7-member fact-finding committee started its work around 9 a.m. in the morning after its inauguration by the Regional Director of Education, Mrs. Chow. And right after, they went into the closed-door session, inviting some teachers to appear before it. In fact, some teachers appeared before it, and they also included the interdicted headmistress and Felicia Asamoah Dankwa, and the senior house master, Seth Owusu Ansa, and one house master as well, one Mr. Awotwe, also, who have been fingered so far in the accusations of negligence. And so they appeared before the committee. It took such a very long time. We had to wait for them for hours to come out, but they wouldn't want to speak with us except for the chairman of the committee, Professor Samson Kofi Ampon of the KNUST Department of Physics, who is also a board member of the school, who told us of the terms of reference of the committee.
Okay, this 7-member committee, which has been instituted by the Regional Director of Education as a fact-finding committee to investigate the incidents which led to the students' riots on the 7th of July, including the demise of one of the students here, and to come out with recommendations for GS. So this is actually a fact-finding committee.
When are you completing your work?
We have been given 1 week, so by 21st of this month we are to complete our work and present our findings to the Regional Director of Education. Well, it's been a bit hectic. We have interviewed a number of people, including the headmistress and the two of the staff involved, that is the senior house master and then the house master. So tomorrow we'll be doing some further interviews and try to establish what really transpired that day.
And already, as you know, the headmistress has been interdicted. 2 other teachers, we understand, have been reassigned and moved already from the school as the probe continues. Well, in the midst of the challenges that the schools are confronted with the COVID-19, we're already hearing of the parents who are anxious and wanting to withdraw their children from the schools. The Accra Girls Senior High School has particularly been hit hard following the statement that they have as many as 55 infections. Today, my colleague Masa Gbagba was there. A taste of what parents there were telling us.
Why is it that if the schools are having a problem, why wouldn't they close it down? What can I do? What can I do? We have been talking. The PTA, everybody is saying it, but they still don't want to release their children.
I want to bring in a private legal practitioner on the question of whether the state can hold the children in school even when parents insist they want to take them out, as in the case of this woman they just had there. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner, joins me on the telephone line right now. Mr. Kpebu, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Newsnight. Pretty tough time for parents. You just had a sound clip there of a parent who has showed up today at the Accra Girls Senior High School wanting to withdraw the ward. But she tells us that the school authorities, and in fact there were police officers there as well, will not allow her. Can the school or the state hold these children in school even when parents say we want them out?
Yes, that is in the case of the specific children who have been in contact with those who have tested positive for the coronavirus. So this is what it is. The law says that if somebody is found to have been in contact with a person who has the virus, then the person has to be quarantined. You remember the mandatory quarantine, which we even did for persons who came into Ghana within a certain period, after we had cases in Ghana, and also if they came from countries where the infection was already spreading. So if you look at the current EI 134, it mandates the heads of the institutions, that's the secondary schools and all those other institutions, the universities, to make sure that they implement the protocols. And one of the protocols is that if you've come into contact with somebody who has the virus, you have to be quarantined. Others say self-isolation, whichever of them. Bottom line is that once you are there's evidence that you've been in contact with somebody who has the infection, we cannot allow those children to go. No, we have to keep them for the mandatory 2-week quarantine or isolation. Then after, if they test negative, that's when they can be allowed to go home. So what they should be doing is that the authorities have to engage their parents and allow the parents to have a bit of access, of course, not physical contact. Ensure they can develop some protocols for parents to see their kids. But in these circumstances, it's not safe for Accra girls. I'm talking about those schools where some children have come into contact with those who have the virus. So we are talking about Accra girls where 55 students have tested positive. So for Accra girls, it's practically not possible to allow the children to go home. Then it means that after a few days, this disease will spread too far. So we have to keep them for the 14 days. And after 14 days, you test all these children. When they don't have it, they can go home.
But as the mother said in this case, she says, I want you to test my child. If you test my child and my child is positive, don't have a problem, keep the child. But if it's negative, I want to take the child home. Here's the case where we know that there's no mass testing for the children in school. Does she have any recourse to anything else if that is what she's been told, that there isn't testing yet? Because I want my child tested. Test so that I can make a decision.
Yes, she has a point. Actually, saying she has a point is another statement. Maybe we should be saying that she has a right to have the child tested. And I'm sure government itself, I'm sure by now they should be putting together measures to go test all the children. Because that's no-brainer, Evans. That's no-brainer. Once 55 have tested positive, they have to test all of them and then wait again for the 14 days, right? So at the end of the 14 days, then they test them again. Evans, that's no-brainer, and that's the minimum that government can do. So I expect that all the children will be tested.
This introduces another complication. So if government isn't doing it, and we know that the government testing delays quite significantly. I've tested; it's more than 2 weeks. It's not come. Can the parent show up and say, I want to take my child out to go and do a test in a private lab, which we know exists currently in Ghana?
No, Evans, I think, no, it's not practicable. So let's say, if you say you bring the lab technicians to come and take the samples, yes. But to give the child over to the parent, it's not practicable because, because there will be no way to check that they are observing social distancing on the way to the hospital and all that. That's too complicated. So if government is not able to, which I doubt, so maybe the next is that you follow up with the ministry tomorrow to check what they are doing. But if government is not able to, what I can foresee is that in terms of taking samples, you go bring the lab technicians to the school so that they take the samples. That's better. But it's not advisable to let the children go with the parents. No.
Thank you very much, Martin Kpebu. Martin Kpebu is a paralegal practitioner, giving us his thoughts on this pretty complicated subject that many parents find themselves in currently. I want to hear from you if you're a parent. Why don't you join me and share your thoughts on that particular issue? 0244 340437. A few of your messages coming through already on this. Those are learners that don't want schools to be closed. The question is, do they have their children at schools here in Ghana? God is watching. That is from Peter. Kofi in Tamale says, do I hear the health minister say coward approach? Somebody's son has passed. May God forgive. Well, that's not what he was referring to. He wasn't talking about the case of the death of the boy. In fact, the death of the boy has been ruled as caused by stomach ulcer. But of course, there's a link there because the allegation is that the teachers failed to attend to him because they feared that he may be suffering from COVID-19. The protocols dictated to them that they should just simply make the call to the health officials and wait for them to take the case up. Also, a view also coming in from Joe J. Kenneth says, I disagree with the health minister and the government on the approach and the explanation they are given regarding students still in school. They always assure us of safety and that no parents should visit their wards, yet they allow EC officials and their own party officials to visit them, all in the name of registration. Keep them coming. I'll share it with the rest of the world. Well, this is your election headquarters. An electoral commission has denied accusations of bias by the opposition NDC, which says it is being treated unfairly in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Now, General Mosquito, the General Secretary of the party, John Singh Asiedu Nketia, last week said the commission and other government agencies were unfairly targeting their members. He alleges the police last week arrested and detained 4 of its members on suspicion that they were Togolese.
There's the people who are in charge of the due process who are breaching the law. So who are you going to report? We are fighting the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that is the Electoral Commission, government, and the state security, all deployed against us. And so I'm saying that if you want peace, peace must be based on justice. You cannot be aspiring to go to heaven when you don't want to die.
Well, as you know, the NDC has already accused the EC of deploying fewer materials to their strongholds. But the Electoral Commission says the claims are false. Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Siribo Kwaku, says the process is the same across the country.
We have not received any complaint that somebody was not registered or whatever. If anybody comes to the center and the person is presumed not qualified, you go to the challenge process.
He also denied claims that the Commission had denied NDC members who live along the borders the opportunity to register, and revealed they had observed more challenges at the borders. You still listen to Newsnight on Joy997 FM. Still ahead, we'll hear from the head of the deputy head of the Microfinance and Small Loan Center, Maslow, who has been in the line of fire for some time now on the back of the Corruption Watch investigations that accused her of abusing her office and using that position to secure the votes of delegates here on Newsnight. It's now time for business, and George Jaffe joins me with the very latest. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. Well, coming up in business, we'll be telling you more about the fact that the President held a virtual cabinet meeting today, and some of the key considerations includes the mid-year budget review and the COVID-19 recovery program, and also be hearing from the Chamber of Consumers that is pushing for a dual pricing formula that will help deal with the projected hikes in fuel prices in the coming weeks. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? And it has been 25 years of supporting those budding entrepreneurs out there.
Many ways there where you go use your MTN Momo wallet make payment with scan to pay, where you go use the QR code, or you go use the merchant ID or on bank POS terminals. You go also transfer money between mobile money wallets and bank accounts, all on MTN Momo. Enjoy real convenience in all your financial transactions and live life the vital way with MTN Momo. We are good together. Just Momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back to Business on News 9. Now, President Akufo-Addo today chaired a virtual cabinet meeting from the presidential villa at the Flagstaff House. But what are some of the key issues that came up that should be of concern to those in the business community? We have details in the following Business Desk report.
The virtual meeting was as a result of the president's decision to self-isolate after coming into contact with one member of the team who had coronavirus. The meeting, we understand, offered cabinet ministers an opportunity to cover critical sectors and how COVID-19 issues are being managed by those special committees and the selected ministers. One of the issues that will be of interest to the business community is the presentation of the media review and the COVID-19 alleviation program that the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is currently working on. The meeting also offered the Finance Minister an opportunity to brief the President and Cabinet on how he is planning to manage the economy for the next half of this year. We are learning that the team was also briefed about the program that the Finance Minister believes would help fast-track the recovery of the economy. Sources say the Finance Minister would also use the media review of estimates to announce another stimulus package for big firms in the country. The minister is also expected to lay a supplementary budget in addition to the media review of estimates. The date for the presentation of the estimates would likely be made known after this cabinet meeting. Some of the initiatives expected are the proposed strategies that the minister will be outlining to deal with the revenue mobilization challenges as a result of how the coronavirus is having an impact on various sectors of the economy.
And that was a Business Desk report. Now let's hear the President when he opened the virtual cabinet meeting with his members.
So members of cabinet, this is the first such meeting, I think, in the history of our country, a virtual meeting of cabinet. So we're all part of a historic process. And God willing, when I look at the secretaries of the cabinet, I hope it is going to be a successful venture. We can begin our meeting. And we do so by asking the Minister for Planning to give us an opening prayer.
And that was President Akufo-Addo giving an opening remark at the virtual cabinet meeting before they actually began proceedings today. Let's look at other stories. And the IMF says it trusts in Ghana's internal structures to help better track the recent COVID-19 support for the country. The fund recently advanced some $1 billion to the country to help stabilize the economy. However, questions have been raised about how the funds are being spent, with some politicians calling for a probe into how the funds are being used. In other countries, the IMF has asked for receipts on how these funds are spent. But speaking on the Imani Africa webinar on media budget review and public financial management, country manager Albertina Mama says the strategy will be reviewed if the need be.
In the case of Ghana, our thinking was always that the framework to monitor spending was strong from not only the parliament oversight but also from the audit service in general. So this framework was already in place, and this framework should be used to the full extent to provide transparency to of course audit spending, especially emergency spending that came because of the COVID.
And that is Albertina Mama. He is the country representative for the IMF, speaking at the Imani Africa webinar on media budget review as well as public financial management. And he also dispelled concerns that the emergency funds are for countries, or the emergency funds are actually for weaker economies. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is pushing for a dual pricing formula for pricing of petroleum products in the country. Now, this follows projections that prices are expected to go up again this week by at least 2%. According to the Chamber, this together reviewing the tax build-up on the various petroleum products could help with the situation. Nankanamwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers.
We have said that we should kick in a dual pricing policy as a country to manage the fuel pricing situation. What a dual pricing policy would mean is that once the government is clear in its numbers that within a given fiscal year we are looking for this level of revenue, you would be able to disaggregate that for the upstream and downstream. We have said on a number of occasions that those additional inflows, if you have a petroleum revenue management board in place, they will be able to determine what 100 million additional inflow should mean to the local pump prices if you use that to offset some of the taxes, so that at all times you are able to manage your petroleum pricing within the country, though there's deregulation in force. If we continue to leave it on autopilot, I am afraid the shocks and the imbalances that are likely to hit all of us in the days, the weeks, the months ahead.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, and government is set to issue a 6-year bond later this week to raise about 800 million Ghana cedis. Now this will be done through the book building approach led by banks like ABSA, Data Bank, Fidelity and IAC Securities, as well as Stanbic Bank. Now many will be looking forward to see the expected interest that will be paid on this fundraising, as well as the level of investor interest that would come in, looking at the fact that the recent fundraising, they raised quite significant amount or more than what they've actually targeted, and how during this COVID-19 times, how would investors react to our bond issuance as well. The government actually in the third quarter of this year actually is looking at raising about 17 billion Ghana cedis through bonds and securities. Let's turn our attention to the stock market, where a lot of things will be that will be of interest to you. GCB shares was up by 34 pesos and is now trading at 3 Ghana cedis 74 pesos. And that is how the market was looking like this week in terms of those who have interest and what will be of you in terms of you had invested in the stock market. That's all for business on Newsnight.
It's live here on News 90 on Joy997 FM. This is your election headquarters. And of course, today the National Peace Council has been speaking in a statement that was issued about machete attacks and the violence at many polling stations, including gunshots, asking the many political parties, the NDC and the MPP, to call their people to order. More on this in a subsequent bulletin. As you said, the NDC on Top Story had indicated that they are the victims, and so they don't see any need to condemn the violence, and they are asking the Peace Council to rather ask the police to make arrests. It follows the death of one person in Banda, in the Bono region, where one person was stabbed close to a registration center there. Now, moving on. I always pray to God to send angels to bring me food. That is a prayer of Larry Poga, an old woman believed to be in her 80s, says every morning when she wakes up. She suffered leprosy at a tender age, and that has completely deformed her. She's lost all her 10 fingers and many of her toes. She was one of the characters featured in the latest Joy News documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng titled Withered Skins.
On a dirt compound is a thatched roofed mud house. Out of it, a frail-looking old woman emerges and walks towards a mango tree to get fresh air. Her name is Dari Puga, a woman in her 80s living alone in this part of the village with her 13-year-old granddaughter. Dari Puga suffered leprosy at a younger age, but at that time, she did not know what it was. She used local concoctions in the hope that she would recover. But over time, her condition worsened. She has lost all her 10 fingers. She remembers exactly how one after the other, she lost all her fingers.
Local medication, a black concoction she used to smear.
And did she know it was a medical condition or?
say initially they sent her to work when the conditions set in. And that time, Upper West wasn't developed as it stands today. And she went there and they said they wasn't medicating us at that time.
And for this old woman, it appears the disease has also affected her eyes, so she tears up unknowingly. She manages to clean those tears with her disfigured hand. Dari Puga has lost 4 of her 10 children. The rest hardly visit. In fact, for over 5 years now, none has visited her. All she has now is her life and her granddaughter. She goes to bed without any idea where her next meal would come from, until good Samaritans pass by and offer them food.
Okay, what basically she's saying is food. If she get money, she can buy food and cook and eat. She's happy. Apart from that, what again does she need?
Well, Seth Button's report and the documentary is back up on myjoyonline.com. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. Now, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Maslog, Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria, is fighting off claims suggesting that she used state funds for her political campaign. The Corruption Watch investigations revealed the Deputy CEO of Maslog engaged in an act of vote buying, giving incentives to induce voters during the recently held MPP primaries. Now, Madam Abibata Zakaria has, however, justified her actions by indicating that persons who took the loans are eligible. My colleague Elton Brobe has a copy of that statement and joins me with details now. She's reacted to claim she distributed state money under the Maslog loans to delegates.
Well, Evans, the response is that there are well-known laid-down procedure for the disbursement of loans under the scheme. According to her, on the said date, an event was organized to present loans to 35 groups. And as is the practice, and as someone from the area, she supervised the disbursement of loans under the scheme. She added that she advised the beneficiary groups to utilize the loans judiciously and invest in their farming activities. She claimed that she pleaded with her boss to release the money ahead of time because it was the farming season.
Okay. Thankfully, Elting, Madam Abibata Zakaria herself joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, Madam, for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you, Evan, and good evening to your listeners.
One of the things that Corruption Watch did was to highlight a speech that you presented in the lead up to the primaries. I want to play that speech to you because it was part of the presentation. Listen.
I'm just a deputy CEO, and you all know what I'm coming to seek from you. Apart from the Maslog, I've already given out a lot of things which are not related to Maslog. And if a person wants to go to Parliament, it is not your personal money you will use to bring development to your people. You will have to go to the government and do lobbying to bring development to your people. So whoever comes to seek your mandate to be MP, his or her links with the people in the government, and his or her humility and attitude will put development to his or her people. Though this gathering is not a political rally for me, there's no way we will do this without letting you know why we brought it here. Here is my Northern Regional Manager. He is aware that Maslog gives to a maximum of 5 groups in the Northern region, but I've not regretted the fact that Yendi alone has been honored with 35 groups. If I had not done so, you had the right to blame me because I can't have such an opportunity and not help you, my people.
Madam Zakaria, is that you in that clip there?
Yes, Evan, that's my voice, and that was spoken in Dagbani.
Okay. Now, so what occasion was this?
It was a disbursement ceremony that I supervised, and it is not unusual for me to have been there because I've been to various disbursement functions of Maslog in the Northern region, Upper East region, Upper West region, and even Ashanti region. So my being there at the venue was because I was a deputy CEO for Maslock and not because I was an aspirant for the parliamentary seat in Yendi constituency.
But this particular occasion also had MPP delegates in attendance.
I can't be sure because when people apply for loans at Maslock, we don't go step by step to know who are delegates and who are not delegates. In any case, there were applications that were brought to Maslock, and I personally did not work on the approvals. My duty there was to supervise the disbursement, and it just coincided with me coming from Yendi and me being an aspirant, nothing more.
So why were you telling them then that you knew that Maslock per its protocols only gives to a maximum of 5 groups in the northern region, but because of your intervention, you are going to give as much as 35 in Yendi alone? Why were you bending the rules?
I am not sure who interpreted the Dagbani to you. That's why I initially said that it was spoken in Dagbani. What I said was that before Maslock started giving loans, as far back as 2018, Yendi had received 5 groups, just as any constituency around Ghana. And Yendi was one of the first constituencies to have received those 5 groups. The day of the event, the groups were actually 30 groups and not 35. So whoever interpreted the audio to you, I don't know who did it, but I think the person was deficient in the Dagbani language.
How many groups benefited?
35 groups from 2018 up to now. And I must put on record that in Northern Region, Yendi is not the constituency that has the largest beneficiary. Tamale Central, for example, have benefited 117 groups. That is Honorable Inusa Husseini's constituency. When you come to Tamale South, we have 69 groups. And then you go to Navrongo Central, we have 50 groups. That's Upper East. You go to the same Upper East in Pani, we have 55 groups. So if Yendi had 35 groups, I don't think it was abnormal because even within Northern Region, Yendi is not the constituency that had the highest number of groups.
Yes, but you were the parliamentary aspirant in Yendi.
That is
and you made a point of telling the gathering that yes, some in the Northern Region 5 groups, but because of your own ingenuity, you've managed to give Yendi 35.
Evans, I told you initially that I don't know who interpreted the Dagbani to you, and I explained to you what I said. Whatever I said in Dagbani is twisted. I wish you could understand Dagbani and you would listen to the audio over and over, and you would understand what I meant.
Just for clarity, what did you mean?
I told you initially that Maslock, as at the day of the disbursement, the groups were 30. But earlier on, the decision was to give 5 groups to every constituency. And Yendi had benefited 5 groups. And Yendi was one of the first constituencies to have benefited from the 5 groups. That was as far back as 2018. So adding the 30 to the 5 made it 35 groups. So I was making reference to the earlier 5 groups and not the day of the disbursement. And that is why I'm saying that whoever interpreted the Dagbani may be deficient in the Dagbani language.
So as the Maslock CEO who was contesting a primary, you've admitted that when in the meeting there was some delegates as well.
Obviously, Maslock is for every Ghanaian, and like I said already.
Yeah, but I know it's for every Ghanaian, but I'm talking about MPP delegates, people who are going to vote for you.
When Corruption Watch contacted me, what I said was that if the NPP delegates happen to be part of it, it wasn't for me to know whether someone is a delegate.
So, Madam Zakaria, you're saying that you didn't know that the gathering you were in had MPP delegates?
I would not know.
You didn't know?
That. Of course, what I said was that it was a mixture of delegates and non-delegates.
But you just told me that you wouldn't know, but you're now telling me that there was a mixture of delegates and non-delegates.
Of course, that was what I said.
So you knew there were delegates there?
Of course, they did not. That did not prevent delegates from applying to Maslow. There is nothing in our procedure that debars MPP delegates.
Okay, but just to establish, so you knew you were addressing MPP delegates at this function.
They were not entirely MPP delegates.
Yeah, but you knew at this meeting there were delegates.
We were administering the loan to 750 beneficiaries. Yearly delegates, as at the 20th June, they were 593. And not that all which delegates were part of the beneficiaries. I'm not sure the delegates would have even been up to 100. And that is why I'm saying that was not of any particular benefit to me as a person. I was there as an official from Maslow and not as an aspirant for the Yendi constituency.
Okay.
Just as I go to other constituencies to supervise their disbursement.
So having acknowledged that there were delegates there, and obviously from what you said, you knew there were delegates there. You're telling me that... I haven't asked my question. My question is, and because you knew there were delegates there who were going to vote and decide your fate in the primaries, you're saying that making this case to them didn't enhance your chances of winning the primary?
Maslow was just one of the interventions that any MPP delegate would have benefited. If you listen to me carefully, and whoever interpreted the audio to you will tell you that I mentioned that I had brought several interventions, and Maslow was just one of the interventions. I wasn't looking to Maslow to win my primaries. I, as a person, in terms of my experience, my qualification, my demeanor, and my own strength, was enough for me to win primaries without necessarily using Maslow to win primaries.
So there's something called...
Please, I'm coming, Evans.
Yes,
I must put on record that there was a misinformation by Corruption Watch that I admitted to wrongdoing. I admitted to buying votes. That is a total false. No. And I would dare Corruption Watch to give you the full audio of the interview that I granted them.
What they said was that you admitted to supervising the disbursement of the Maslow funds to the delegates, and you've admitted the delegate benefited.
I did not say delegates. I said it was a mixture of delegates and non-delegates.
But it's the fact that some delegates, you say almost 100 got the loan.
Evans, if other delegates from other constituencies are benefiting from Maslow, and every other Ghanaian is benefiting from Maslow, how different is it from people from Yendi to benefit from Maslow?
But since
an aspirant.
That's the question I was going to ask. Since you're an aspirant yourself,
yes,
and you knew that meeting will have delegates, there's conflict of interest. You could have recused yourself because that would have meant that you probably would have abusing your position.
There is no conflict of interest because the exercise that was being performed was not a political gathering. It was an official gathering for Maslow. So for someone to come and twist the facts, I don't know what the intention is, but I don't think that any delegate who was part of it. And then for your information, let me also make it clear to you that we had to do it at that time because it coincided with the farming season. Yendi is a farming community, and when you have to give loans to people, you give the loans to them when they have any need for it so that they will be able to repay. As I'm speaking to you right now, they are started repaying. And how can a loan be misconstrued as vote buying? Why would someone give loan to somebody and it will be same as vote buying when the person is going to pay back?
That is Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria. She's the Deputy Chief Executive of Maslow. Let's do sports now, and Benedict is joining me on Zoom. Hello, Benedict.
Hi, Evans. Now, a lot of Ghanaian players this evening have been linked with some top clubs, and it's good news at this point in time. Kudus Mohammed has agreed to join this side, Ayas, and the club is on the verge of, sealing a deal for the Ghanaian youngster. Now, the 19-year-old will make the switch to Holland in a deal which will see him become one of the top signings of the side this summer. And according to reports, he's set to sign a 5-year deal for Ayas in the coming days. And not too good of a news for Arsenal fans. Thomas Partey may not leave Atletico Madrid as he's set to sign a contract extension at a club that's his club Atletico Madrid, and also Mohamed Salisu, who plays for Real Mallorca in the Spanish La Liga, is also set to join English Premier League side Southampton. So bit of some transfer news coming through for Ghanaian players abroad. But elsewhere, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says his team deserve an apology after the club successfully overturned their ban from European club competitions. And in this year's Champions League, City faced Real Madrid in their last 16 second leg at the Etihad Stadium on August 7, and they lead 2-1 from the first leg, which was played at the Bernabeu. And also tonight, there's one big game, all in the name of teams finishing in the top 4. You already know the champions, that's Liverpool, Manchester City, setting to take the second place. So now, Evans, is your Manchester United, Chelsea, Leicester City, and then which other team again? Well, Wolverhampton was also lurking around at the top 4. See how that will go. But Chelsea are up against already relegated Norwich tonight in the English Premier League.
Benedict, I'm grateful for that update. Now, she's known to sing and perform in her local dialect. Now, this is giving her the platform to perform on great international stages. Buyala is on Spotlight tonight.
Noella Wiala, known under the stage name Wiala, is a Ghanaian Afropop singer and songwriter. She sings in her local native language, Sisala, and Wala dialects, and English, often combining all three languages within her songs. She first got singing lessons from her mother, choir singer in the local church.
Church choir. I used to do. I joined Children of Mary. My mother is a Catholic, so we're all baptized there. And then through that, with the drumming and dancing. Wanna feel the heat, feel it so, make me dance. She attained public renown with her single "Make Me Dance" and her unique image. After making her name in reality shows in Accra, she established a solo career in 2013 with the hit single Rock My Body, which won her 2 awards at the 2014 first edition of the All African Music Awards. From early childhood in Upper West region of Ghana, Wiala was active as an entertainer, earning her first income as a performer in a local bar in Tamale. After high school, Wiala's musical career began in earnest when she joined the local music scene in Wa, which centered around Echo Sound's recording studios. The land is good, the land is mine.
And of course, I love Wiala. Of course, the princess of the North and Ghana, selling our culture internationally. And joining me right now is a man who loves music, a different kind of music. Spiky is up next with Geek Squad. I always get to catch you on the note of music. The last time you proved me wrong because you knew your stuff. I wonder about Wiala though.
Wiala is one of my favorites. I know her personally too.
Oh, you do? Oh, goodness me.
Did you hear me singing the I Wanna Feel the Heat? One of my favorites.
Oh, great.
She has this one, Sun and Moon. She's a great singer.
Fantastic. What do you have? What's coming up on
Geek Squad?
On Geek Squad tonight?
So, U.S.-China trade war is going on, and tech firms are really taking a hit.
Oh, Huawei.
Yeah, Huawei.
I'm a Huawei fan. I see.
Yeah.
I have everything Huawei. I have 2 Huawei phones. I have,
So this should really concern you.
Yeah, I mean, but the interesting thing, the last time I was in the US, I couldn't use my Huawei phone.
Really?
I couldn't use it. The only thing I could use it for was when I entered the place that had the Wi-Fi.
Wi-fi, yes.
Yeah, that caused it to use to work. But once you leave that, it's absolutely useless. No chip will work. No US, cellular network chip will work in the phone. Yeah, no, it don't work.
I never knew that.
It don't work. I had to buy a phone. I had to buy a phone locally.
This is interesting
to use it. I mean, I don't know what was happening, but it was clear that actually
they don't want them.
Nah. Anyway, so very interesting conversation coming up. Make it date with Geek Squad up next.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7. Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.